Hi, everyone. I'm Anne-Marie Green. We begin this afternoon with more fallout from the anti-diversity memo at Google. We've learned that the company has fired software engineer James Damore. His 10-page document criticized Google's diversity initiatives. He also writes that women are more prone to anxiety and blames the gender gap on biological causes. Anna Werner has more on the memo's impact inside Google.
The memo penned by that white male software engineer was read by millions. While he said more needed to be done to encourage a diversity of viewpoints at Google, Damore's words hit the company with such force. A local radio station reported some female employees took sick days yesterday to avoid what was described as an uncomfortable environment. James Damore told us he was booted from Google's campus in Mountain View, California at 5 o'clock yesterday. The software engineer told CBS News via email he was wrongfully terminated for perpetuating gender stereotypes and said his 3-year career at Google ended for political reasons.
When you start to say those things, you're going to have to reap the consequences of what you said.
Kara Swisher, the executive editor of Recode, spoke with employees who described the current environment inside the search giant as really toxic.
This memo has set off a whole stream of things. We should say and do what we want. The fact of the matter is, Google's a company. It has rules. He broke the rules.
In his 3,000-word document published within the company's internal discussion boards, Damore railed against what he called Google's shaming culture, which he said has created a silent, psychologically unsafe environment. He said differences in distributions of traits may in part explain why we don't have 50% representation of women in tech. The lower number of women in high-stress jobs, he wrote, is because women are more prone to anxiety. Damore also alleged that Google discriminates by having programs only for people with a certain gender or race.
It is a document full of sexism.
Erica Baker, a software engineer at Google for 9 years, was shocked by that document.
What made them feel like that was okay? What made them feel safe and protected to share this, blatant sexism inside Google?
Google CEO Sundar Pichai told employees Monday, portions of the memo violate our code of conduct by advancing harmful gender stereotypes.
Are they striving for inclusion? Are they aiming to make sure that the women and people of color and everybody from underrepresented groups at Google feel like they can be successful there?
Overall, just 31% of Google's employees are female. That number drops to 19% among its tech jobs.
Why are 80% of the people working at these companies white men? How do we change that? How do we build a bigger pie so everybody can share in it instead of fighting over what's here?
Damore told CBS News that before he was fired, he complained to the National Labor Relations Board that Google was trying to silence him. He believes the company's actions are illegal, and he's now exploring all possible legal remedies. Google's CEO is cutting a vacation short in order to plan a company-wide town hall on Thursday. Anne-Marie?
All right, thank you. Well, CNET's Jeff Bakalar joins us now to talk a little bit about this. So, Jeff, even before this memo, Silicon Valley was sort of tackling the reputation that it had, that it wasn't a friendly place for women to come to work, and now this memo cannot help.
No, not at all. I think most notably you'll look at companies like Uber, who have dealt with a lot of serious stuff in this category. I think the more that this comes out, the more, the Silicon Valley companies will show that they are united in their, feeling towards this kind of discrimination. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, when this does show up, it has to be dealt with. And I think so far, Google is taking steps to really eradicate that kind of behavior.
Yeah, the timing could be better for Google. The company's already grappling with a lawsuit from January about compensation and gender pay discrimination. What do you think Google has to do to bounce back? It's certainly already been taking steps to make a correction, but I'm not sure how successful this is so far.
Yeah, it's definitely, tough seas to navigate. I think when you look at their transparency, that's what you have to focus on. And I think a lot of the companies that are basically completely open and, show their hand, discuss how they're going to deal with this. To me, and I think to the environment, that is how, or at least the way it becomes successful. Right. It's probably the best way to approach that kind of thing. You want that transparency. You want to show how you're going to deal with this. I think the town hall on Thursday, obviously we'll hear about what goes on there. When you're faced with this kind of sensitive situation, in my opinion, transparency is the best way forward.
Yeah, you talked about the town hall, and you talked about Uber having similar issues, and there's been, other companies that have come up. Is Silicon Valley making progress in this department? Are things changing? Because it certainly seems, every time there's a lawsuit or something gets leaked, a CEO says something that they shouldn't have, it feels like nothing's changing at all.
Yeah, I think that's a tough metric to really examine, whether or not companies are successful. You can't deny that, they are definitely attempting to stomp that kind of behavior out. I'm not sure how you exactly, qualify what is working, what isn't working. Yeah. You can look at data and how much of your workforce is represented by a certain demographic. But I think, enforcing that and being very public about it and, making that part of the culture. A lot of people feel different ways, but the culture of companies is really what shines through. So if the messaging is on point there, that's probably the best way to handle it. And the way Google is attempting to handle this specific situation, I'm not sure what other strategy there is to take. Right. But the way of transparency, to me, seems like the right idea. Yeah,
well, we'll certainly be looking forward to hearing what that town hall meeting is all about and what gets said there. Jeff Bakalar, thank you very much.
Of course.